Hello, everyone, and welcome to Phoebe Vita's second round of the Hog Open. She's about to start her game here against her opponent. She's got the black pieces. They've been talking for a little bit, but looks like they're getting ready to begin. So this is pretty exciting. I believe she lost her first round, so she's looking to get that first dub today. She is a little underrated. Her opponent is higher rated than her. Hope the stream is working well right now. I'm just waiting for them to start. I'm just waiting. All right. Everything looks and sounds good. So, hello, Alan. Hello, Derparnu. Hello, Warrior. Hello, Sack Mini. And hello, Darth. Thanks for tuning in. They got a nice window view out there, but I guess it's a little late. It's dark. It's morning time for me. So, all right, here we go. Handshake, and the clock is starting. The move is made. I have to make the moves myself, actually. So let me introduce myself, perhaps. Hello, everyone. My name's Joe. I am commentating for today, so I'm today's host. And let me take a look at this move that he just played. Let's see. This is E3. That is definitely an odd one. And she's going to match him, E6. So usually when I play E3, it's because I mouse slipped E4. So that's interesting. He plays D3. So maybe Phoebe's going to stick to her French setup D5, perhaps. That's what I would assume. Anna Psychic. Yep, that's me. All right, so D5, just as we predicted. I Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen E3 over the board. E3 and D3. So now knight E2. Is this the beginning of the cow? Is this Anna? Speaking of Anna, is that what we're witnessing? Hi Gerbs. Good to see you. Is he playing the cow? That's my exact same question. Also, I'm not listening to anything. I'll take my headphones off for now. Hello PMD. Hello Ofta. All right, Phoebe brings her knight out. Very solid. And there goes the other knight. Yeah, we're witnessing perhaps a cow opening over the board. Thanks, Gerbs. Do we watch here or on Phoebe's channel? I recommend that you watch wherever you could watch on both channels. You could definitely at least follow Phoebe's channel if you haven't already. He didn't move the knights inwards. Well, now he has. So I don't know much cow theory, but I suspect these to be the next four moves from white. A hippo? Hippo, usually you see a fianchetto. Z-Bean with the raid. Thank you so much. Welcome. Hello. How was your stream? My name's Joe. I don't normally stream at this hour. This is pretty early for me, but I am commentating for a very important tournament, very important round. This is Phoebe Vita's match. She's got the black pieces. We see her here on camera. This time control is 90 plus 30, I believe. So someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's going to be my best educated guess there. I probably should know better, but this is a classical time control. And our opponent with white looks like they're playing a cow opening from famous streamer Anna Cramling, who I commentate with on Saturdays for the Collegiate Chess League. How many rounds today? So it's only one game per week. So her last round was actually a week ago, last Wednesday. So it's not too grueling of a tournament, I suppose, unless you want it over with quicker. Okay, so maybe he is going for the fianchetto. I gotta really keep an eye on these moves here. So let's see. She brings out her other knight. And now he's going for the king side fianchetto. Okay, so not a true cow opening. This guy's deviating from the known theory here. Typically, the knight goes to g3. Instead, we see pawn to g3, making way for the bishop here. Okay, man, I wonder if Phoebe's mind was like, wow, I didn't brush up on my cow theory. Maybe Phoebe knows the cow theory. I'm not sure. We'll have to ask her after the fact, but this is definitely a moment where White is going off course, per se. So Phoebe's going to spend some time here and try to remember her lines against the cow. It's a semi-cow. It's a hippo. Okay, that actually checks out. So cows and hippos, maybe not super related, although perhaps similar. Not only in the animal kingdom, but in chess opening theory. I'm making things up at some point. I'm not sure. Okay, bishop to e7. So honestly, both players definitely maybe perhaps a little timid here as far as controlling the center goes. So as far as I'm concerned, you want to control the center. So white typically would start with the pawn like e4 or d4, instead opting for e3 and d3. Meanwhile, Phoebe, she stays to her French structure. Instead of going e5 and d5, she goes e6, d5. And yeah, personally, I would definitely want to play a move like e5 instead of e6. Although, to be fair, I don't play a French. So Phoebe's sticking to something that she's used to. Although pawn on e5 has the added benefit of being able to get this bishop out. Perhaps the bishop could have been on e6 instead. So, yeah. b3, we know that white's next move likely will be fianchettoing on the queen side, perhaps castling. Hello, Mermaid, good to see you. Hello, Blitz Rider. Illustrat, good to see you as well. All right. Good to see you, Dirkia. How's everyone doing? Happy Valentine's Day, if you celebrate it. Um, if you don't, just know that you're loved and appreciated. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're supporting Phoebe here today. And yeah, I don't have anyone, if you're curious. But I have you guys, and I have myself. So yeah, if you don't have anyone, you have yourself at a minimum. So there's always that. Definitely should make sure you love yourself. Um, gotta get that out of the way. What's up, initiative? What's up, accepted? A3 H3 hippo. Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps we'll see these moves as well. Now, these openings are always, it seems like white not taking the center could be an advantage for black, but it's always difficult. If Phoebe were to play for e5, even though you have the space in the center, it's not clear where you make your breakthrough. So that's one of the benefits of the hippo is anytime your opponent tries to break in the center or tries to attack you, typically when you don't have any pieces on this third rank here, any advance into white's half the board can be met with a pawn push, closing the center, keeping things closed, making it difficult to open up lines and to attack. So this is going to be a real long battle here, I feel. So we'll see how Phoebe decides to go for it. She's definitely spending some time already. She's castled. So next steps, she probably needs to finish her development. She's maybe considering a fianchetto. If you push this pawn, this does open up this diagonal slightly. So you do have to keep that in mind if white were to try to break in the center themselves. Although that would definitely go against standard hippo opening procedure. So again, just expecting a fianchetto from white or perhaps a castle. Phoebe probably thinking about pushing her c-pawn. This is definitely pretty common idea in these structures. What is Phoebe's online blitz? That's a good question. I think she mainly plays on Lee chess, and I believe her rapid is around 1800. I'm not sure her blitz. Um, let's see. Her blitz is 1709. Her peak blitz on Lichess is 1750. Her ratings on chess.com are a little bit lower, but I think that's common for everyone. Is there a way to see the clock? Yeah. Not really. I said yeah, but I can give you this zoomed in look. This is as close as we're gonna get. But it is an hour 24 minutes for Phoebe and an hour and 33 minutes for her opponent. So her opponent has gained 3 minutes on the clock, and Phoebe has spent about 6 for a grand total of 9 minute difference. Now it's still very early on in the game, but this is not a critical moment actually in the position. So definitely we don't want to be spending too much time in moments like these. But we will keep an eye on the clock for when things get a little bit more tense down the line. Can I do a zoomed in as a separate window? You know, I definitely could. If you guys would like to see that, I could try to set that up. All right, she has gone for c5. So that is definitely a solid move, and our opponent goes for the fianchetto super quickly, as to be expected. I'm not sure the opponent's online ratings. Definitely not a mermaid. Thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate that. Will I be playing in the National Open? I am not sure. I haven't decided yet. Definitely not mermaid subbing with Prime. Yeah, mermaid subbing to both channels. What an absolute legend. Appreciate that. Phoebe versus Levant. I'm not keeping up with that, so I wouldn't know. I didn't know that they played. Are you talking about the 960 tournament? National Opens in Vegas in June. I do have plans in June, so I will be in St. Louis, but I'm not sure if it conflicts with the National Open quite yet, because I think National Open might be, is that the end of the month or the beginning of the month? I'm not sure. Yeah, his bishops control the center from the side here. So instead of controlling the center in the center, he's opting to fianchetto. So it's a solid opening for white for sure. Hippo might get a bad rep, but I believe actually Grandmaster Hess plays with the hippo a lot of times, especially online. I don't know if he's ever played it over the board, but it's a solid opening at any level. Let me see if I can work on this clock that you guys want. Let's see. Let me see if I can work some what we call OBS magic in the business. Oh, he almost dropped that water bottle. I don't know if you guys saw that. But he caught it. Nice. Definitely don't want to be spilling. Hippo's been played at the World Championship, you think? That's crazy. I would not have expected that. Thanks, AK. The 4th to the 9th, so early June. Yeah. A lot of glare. Yeah, the lighting isn't great for the clock. Spin points for me to hydrate? You know what? That's a great question. Normally I don't personally do that, but for Phoebe's channel, perhaps we can make an exception for today. But we'll see. I don't know if you guys abuse. I've seen some quite the hydrates for Phoebe. She might have turned it up. Hello, H1 chess. Oh my goodness, fly. I don't know if I can do Gandalf. Maybe I could do it real quick, but I can't stay for the whole stream. Shout out to H1 chess. How's it going? Hello, Bali. Good to see you. Do I think the ocean is soup? You guys, we've got a very serious chess game going on right now, okay? I don't know why you guys are asking me these kind of questions, okay? This should be taken very serious. You know, I'm a professional commentator, so I don't know why we have questions about the ocean or soup. Like we have a chess game before us right now. Can't you guys see? This is a very tense moment in the position. Okay. And the almond. Oh my goodness, you guys. Phoebe's not gonna want me back if she sees this. You guys can't show her that I'm like doing all these channel redemptions. Random facts from me. So she must have disabled that, huh? Well, here's the almond for H1. And that was for dark. You guys are making it hard out here. No, but I appreciate everyone. All right. But yeah, does Phoebe have hydrate on or no? Because I will honor that. I know I'm professional. This is probably the earliest. Can I show Coda? That I cannot do. Um, here. Let me show you Phoebe though. This might be the closest that you get. I don't know if she brought him to the tournament. Oh, we do have a hydrate. Okay. When I'm back on, I'll try to do my best. I'm gonna try to add this clock. It doesn't look very great, I'll admit, but it is what it is. I don't know. Maybe you guys take a look at it and you tell me if we like it or not, if we keep it. Mm, how's that? You guys prefer it or you like it how it was? Probably we'll keep it. Why are there people floating in the window? That's called a reflection, Gerber. That's how light bounces off glass, also known as physics. There's the hydrate, by the way. Pro streamer. All right. Yeah, the clock is showing hours and minutes, but once they get below probably an hour, it'll just show the minute. At some point, it'll show minutes and seconds. I'm not sure when. All right, actually, I don't think I updated the board. Wait, so maybe I'll take a quick look at the progress. Okay, she played E5. So hold on. So Fianchetto, he's played H3 and she played E5. This is fantastic news. I love E5. So now she has better control of the center and her bishop. Wait, why did I not add in? Wait, so Fianchetto. Okay, this, then this. Right? And now it's her turn. Okay. So yeah, he's gained another minute on his clock. And yeah, Phoebe, I already suspect she's not comfortable with the opening because she probably doesn't have a lot of experience against the hippo, I would assume. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But she's spending probably too much time here in the opening because it's like as I said, it's not like a key position, right? There's not a lot of tactics to look for. It's not a tense moment in the game. It's very early on. She needs to develop her bishop. So moving this knight, maybe moving the rook, moving the knights, getting the bishop out. She needs to focus on her development still. So this is not a key moment of the game to be spending time and investing time. So this time does add up, right? He's gained 4 minutes and he's sipping his water. He's leaned back, very, very casual, very loose, because he's played every single move of this, really quickly. It's a hippo. There's not much to think about, right? Anytime she'll push, he'll close it. So it's difficult. She needs to definitely make sure she doesn't spend too much time now when it's less critical so that she has time saved up for when it does get critical. Plotter, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. Can we get a sip counter from this guy? I'm not keeping track. If you want to keep track, that's your responsibility, and I trust you with that. So appreciate that. Definitely, it's good information to know. Yeah, Alan, I cannot do the fireworks. I'm sorry. I don't have all the fun tricks that Phoebe has. Yeah, this is an actual tournament. He is playing the hippo. What's up, Vlad? Good to see you. Vlad stopped by my channel last night and said he didn't know I was that strong. I don't know if that was verbatim what he said. I don't know if I should be complimented or offended, but I'll take it. So appreciate Vlad stopping by, not only here right now, but also last night. I suspect Vlad's very strong. If your name is Vlad, that's got to be at least a plus 100 elo compared to a name like Joe, I would assume. So I got to work extra hard for my rating. I'm just kidding. What's my rating? On chess.com, I'm about 2100. My blitz, technically a little bit less than that, but my bullet is 2200. So I think I can say 2100. It averages out, right? Hello, Kukilo. How does a name like Derp compare? Is your actual name Derp, or is it just a username? The Ivy League tournament pawns for sale. I don't think they've asked me yet. I'm not sure. If they ask me, I would definitely be honored. I would consider it. So it depends. We'll have to see. Do you know when it is? Do you know more about it? Yeah, she's at a minute or an hour and 13 now. So she's played great. My only comment is she's just got to play faster, right? So the concern about moving this knight now that she pushed e5 is that the bishop attacks it, right? So she cannot move this knight so easily. I mentioned rook to e8 to move the knight, but perhaps she goes rook e8 to play bishop d6. Or she plays bishop d6 right away. Or maybe even queen c7. Getting the queen out, very sensible. So, yeah. Definitely need her to I mean, I'm worried she's going to get below an hour and her opponent still has the same amount of starting time, an hour and a half. So that is definitely a significant time advantage here for her opponent. This tournament is taking place at the Hog, not the Animal. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, but it's in the Netherlands, which is where Phoebe is. So, yeah. The Hog Open. 7-round Swiss, 7 consecutive Wednesdays. So, I think last week was commentated by Alexandra. This week is by me. And then I think she has Agna doing commentary. We've got another sip of water from this guy. He's going to be well hydrated. He's got a big bottle. He might run out of water at some point. Phoebe, meanwhile, let's take a look at the full screen. She's got some snacks over there. Do you guys know what those are? They look like, I don't know, are those pickles? Are they cucumbers? Is someone there that knows? Vegan snacks, yes. Wait. Oh, Hague. Like vague. Okay. Sorry. I thought it was hog. All right, so Phoebe's made her move and now she's getting up. She's proving that she's still confident in herself. She knows she doesn't even have to be at the board. Her opponent now perhaps taking his first think. So she did move her rook, which is definitely one of the top moves that I was considering. Which I don't know if that bodes well for her or not. If I'm playing that move, it might not be good. So we'll see if it works out for her. Yes, white did play the hippo. I can show you all. Phoebe's latest move, rook to e8, offering some support to the e pawn and opposite the king, just taking the center. And now we see white actually expanding on the king side, g4. Now this is the most committal move white has played so far. Now, I'm not a hippo expert by any means. This guy also leaving the board. So now the board is empty right now. No one's at the board. As you can see here, both players, they're playing in their minds right now. There's a whole battle being fought off the board. Players don't even have to be there to calculate. So we'll see how long it takes for Phoebe to return. This is the World Chess Championship. This is exactly how the professionals do it. So this is how you know that they know what they're doing. What's up, Brody? Yeah, this is one game a week for this tournament. 7-round Swiss. They play on Wednesdays. So one game every Wednesday. Hello, Dijon. This is not to be confused with Ding versus Nepo. This is Phoebe's chair versus Josh's chair at the moment. The chairs sometimes sub in for the players. I don't know how to pronounce her opponent's name. It's Jos. So sometimes I know J's can be Y's. Maybe it's Yos. Or I don't know. Perhaps just Josh without the H, or Joe's. I don't, Gerber. I'm sorry. It's Yos. Okay, thank you. There's a couple people saying that, so I'll take their word for it. Maybe forgot the H. It's possible. Yeah, high level cycle. I can try to get a glimpse at the other games. I see some reflection. Someone's spectating right now, looking at the position. Phoebe, she's down a lot of time. I don't know if she can afford this long of a break. She's down to 1 hour and 9 minutes, 8 minutes now. Her opponent still has gained 3 minutes from the start. So definitely time management early on in the game. I think this might play a big factor later on when the position gets more crucial. All right, looks like she's back with some tea. So perhaps a wise investment of time. That could be plus 50 elo for her right there. All right, she sees the move. She's making the move. Now, she's going to think, I was wondering if she had a plan in place, but to her opponent's credit, g4 is definitely the most aggressive move played so far today. So the immediate threats of g4, perhaps to play g5. So let's take a look at the board and see what she might be thinking about, right? When you play a move rook to e8, bishop tucking back or moving, defending the pawn, if she were to stick to her plan and ignore her opponent, these are probably top candidate moves. Also, I mentioned queen c7. Now, the idea behind all of these is to simply defend the e-pawn. The e-pawn is already defended by the knight, but we want to develop our bishop, right? So the bishop has two paths to move forward, so she either has to play for the b-pawn and fianchetto, or she has to move her knight and bring out her bishop along this path, although perhaps now maybe less options. She can't go to f5 anymore. Engine says h6. h6 definitely is a move. Now, that immediately prevents the move g5, right? That's something that she has to keep in mind, right? She cannot simply move the bishop now if that was her plan originally. She has to keep in mind that now her piece can be questioned at any moment. When this pawn pushes and attacks the knight, we have to find a new square for the knight. For example, if we were to move the bishop now, that would actually be a big mistake. We would allow the move g5. Our knight would have to move. And when our knight moves, our bishop, or their bishop, can take our pawn, right? So there's a lot that she has to think about, mainly this threat of g5. When you play a move like h6, there are definite drawbacks. First off, you're creating what's called a hook. Her opponent can play for h4, g5 anyways. Now, h4 right away perhaps blunders the g-pawn, but this could be a sacrifice as well, opening up the g-file against the king. So I think this is definitely a good move from white, especially considering that Phoebe might get herself into some time pressure. A move like g4 adds a lot of variables that she has to calculate now. So even though it's still early on in the position and in the game, I think that Phoebe's going to spend perhaps even more time here than she's been already spending, which could definitely not be a good thing. So yeah, if not h6, what else? The computer likes the move d4, which just essentially eliminates this threat and this threat, right? It kind of clarifies the center. Drawback of d4, probably main response would be e4, taking space in the center, keeping things closed. But with the bishop's fianchetto, keeping the center closed could be a good thing. If not d4, the computer is also calling for g6. G6, I'm personally not a big fan of. Yo, Benjamin Bach with a huge raid. Also, hello to Luke. Good to see you as always. Shout out to the Grandmaster Bach himself. All right, Phoebe has played a move. She's played d4. This is definitely a good move. And surprisingly, she didn't spend that much time on it. So her opponent very quickly, in true hippo fashion, keeping things closed, e4. So now there's no threats of any captures. She can continue on with her plan, probably a retreating move to open up for her other pieces. If you guys are tuning in now, this is Phoebe Witte's round 2 match of the Hague Open. Bach is Dutch, so maybe he's played in this tournament. Maybe he's heard about it. I'm not sure. But hello, Bach. I think Bach was probably playing in Arena Kings, if I'm not mistaken. Hello, Physic. Good to see you. You'd go rook b8 for b5. Yeah, I mean, you could play b5 immediately, right? Rook b8 was definitely a move recommended earlier in the position, but Yeah, with things are closed, I'm wondering now if white is still, even with the move like g4, they might still castle kingside and play for f4. They might also just play f4. Takes, and now the knight joins the center. This also undermines the base of Phoebe's structure, right? Because this is her center. This pawn is the lead and is supported by two pawns. But this pawn in the center is not easily defended by another pawn, whereas this pawn perhaps is. So this pawn's also a lot easier to access than, say, this pawn. Or move like f4 supported by a knight and possibly a rook later on, whereas this square, you have it essentially covered. White should probably try to castle at some point. They could still castle either way. Probably queenside could be safer, as she still has most of her pawns intact in the structure. If castles kingside, the G and H pawns have already been pushed, so potential for her to attack easier over there. But yeah, right now Phoebe has to figure out still a plan on how to finish her development. She needs to get her bishop out. So white needs to get castled. Phoebe still has a couple pieces to develop. So we're still very much in the opening of this game. Now, Phoebe did play d4 relatively quickly, and her opponent responded essentially immediately. Phoebe's spending more time here. So I don't know if you guys can see the clock very well, but Phoebe's about to get under an hour, and her opponent still has more time than he started with. So that is definitely a potential source for concern. And I am worried that she's just playing a little too slow here out of the opening. She's not going to have a lot of time later on. It is still 30-second increment, so but yeah, definitely not something you want to rely on down the road. Does she have a Twitch channel? Yes, she does. You can do !Phoebe in my channel. Also, I think she should be tagged like in the stream title, so I'm not sure if that's working or not. Take care, Gerbs. Thanks for being here. We all appreciate you. All right. So people definitely saying b5 perhaps doesn't match Phoebe's style. Yeah, b5 just taking space on the queen side, and a4 is also an idea that white could play later. So a move like b5 could make it less desirable to play a move like a4. If you play a4 first, then it's very difficult to get in a move like b5, right? Happy Valentine's Day, Brody. Thank you. Tag in the title works. Thank you, Initiative. And thank you, Brody, for appreciating Gerbs. You guys are great. You guys are double checking everything's working. We're appreciating Gerbs out here. Thank you guys. All right. Then this guy, another sip of the water. That's one thing about chess tournaments is when you're sitting there at the board waiting for a move. I always have a water bottle with me because otherwise, like, I don't know what else there is to do. Just sip your water and play chess, right? So, Phoebe did get a T. I don't know if anyone has any insights on what kind of tea she got. If you guys know the tea, definitely feel free to share it or spill it, but don't spill it. Maybe just share it. It looked green. It definitely is a green color. Let's see if we can get the close up. Thank you, Mancha. Appreciate that. Any tea on the tea? It's a good question. Sam might know. We have an insider there. His drink, it looks fizzy. Like it looks like a carbonated water, but maybe it's a regular water. I'm not sure. I'm not a fan of sparkling water. I don't know about you guys. I like my water regular or flat or I don't know. I just call it water. But it is tea in a bag. That is true, Fallen Gandalf. Good to see you. Yeah, it looks like a box of pickles with her tea. It's sparkling water for sure. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't know when it got popular. At some point, I feel like restaurants started offering it regularly. And like I've been to a place where I ask for water and they give you sparkling water like by default, which is the worst. That should never be the option. They're baby cucumbers. I don't know if she's opened them yet. She's saving those perhaps for later when times are tough and she needs the extra energy. But yeah, she is under an hour. She's got 57 minutes to an hour and 33. She's essentially playing now with time odds. Like if he hasn't dipped below his starting time, like that is just not a good sign. So I would say that is the biggest concern as of right now, more than anything in the position. Position's fairly even, if not favorable for black because of her space advantage in the center and because of the relative passive opening from the hippo, although he has played g4, which is the most aggressive move. Yet he has not castled yet. So all things considered, I think black is for choice, but she cannot continue to play with this sort of amount of time per move. So, especially given her opponent is playing really quickly. What move would I play? That's a tough question. I think knight f8, bishop d6, and I can show you guys what that looks like. One of these two moves, right? So I would like to move the knight because I would like to move the bishop. I would like to move this bishop as well because it's probably better here. And we help open up for the rook. In case they were to ever play f4, bishop on d6 helps that a lot, actually. That would just be a free pawn for the time being. And then white would have to work to try to get it back. And it helps open up our rook as well. So bishop d6 is a solid move. Knight f8 is also solid. And we're looking to redeploy the knight or get the bishop out. These are moves that she's definitely considering. And she is going for knight to f8. So this is actually the top recommended move. So she's played it. But yeah, it's the clock. So we'll see how quickly her opponent just instantaneous. So knight to g3 here. And definitely strong grip over the f5 square, right? The knight's going to be there. Maybe Phoebe was just going to snap that immediately as soon as it lands. But yeah, he's up to an hour and 34 minutes. Phoebe, I mean, she can get a sip of tea in, but that's about it. Now she's back on the clock. And we'll see how quickly it takes her to respond to this one. Are we smashing it? What's up, Love Pizza? Good to see you. Always an honor and a pleasure. If you guys are tuning in just now, I will go through the game for you. White started timidly with e3 and d3, Phoebe sticking to her French structure. And we have potential opening for the cow, but instead going for a hippo, so a different large animal. And Phoebe controls the center. She plays an e5, rook to e8. White expanding on the king side, g4. We have d4 from Phoebe, and now knight f8, knight g3. So really solid game here so far from Phoebe. Only concern is the clock. She is under an hour, and her opponent has gained 4 minutes from the start. Yeah, Blitzrider, I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry. Yeah, opponent's playing instantaneously, essentially. Yeah, knight g6, definitely a possibility. Looking at the f4 square. When this knight moves, remember I was saying the knight could help support an f4 pawn push. Now, there is no such push, especially if she gets her knight in, right? So her knight could be on g6. Now, a knight on g6 potentially can be kicked with the h-pawn. However, any h-pawn push would leave the g-pawn hanging. So the queen is opened up to defend, but with her knight move, this also opens up her bishop. Now, probably this knight will continue on to f5. This is such a great outpost for a knight, and Phoebe will definitely consider taking this. The downside of taking this is when white recaptures, this starts to open up lines for white. And also, this pawn on f5 can be annoying as well. So either way, white takes. It's going to open things up. So taking with the g-pawn opens up the g-file. Taking with the e-pawn opens up this long bishop. And we've given up the bishop pair, right? We don't necessarily want to give up a bishop for a knight. But a knight on f5 is going to be difficult to deal with. So top recommended move for Phoebe right now is actually knight back to d7. Not her knight on f8, but her knight on f6. Now, what does this do? Well, I'm not sure. I guess it opens up for our f-pawn. I don't really know. It opens up this bishop as well. So instead, we do see she's played her knight up to not g6, but to e6. Now, there's a subtle difference. Both knight moves will help control f4. So if her knight ends up on f4, it's probably not that big of a deal or that big of a difference. But this does block slightly her bishop as well as the rook. But a good move nonetheless. And she's played it relatively quickly. I think she's starting to realize she's picking up her pace, which is a good thing. Right? As long as she continues to play the good moves, that's all that matters. So all right, we'll see if her opponent makes his first think of the game. I'll be curious to know at what move does he actually dip below his original starting time. So he only has 2 extra minutes now. Perhaps his longest think of the game, which is a good thing for Phoebe. I think that this guy might castle. He might bring his queen out, looking to castle long. He might continue with an attack on the king side. But one good thing about e6 is that we control g5, right? So if the knight went to g6, perhaps g5 could have been played, although Phoebe would probably just bring her knight back and open up an attack on this pawn, but yeah. White has to figure out what he wants to do. So it seems that he didn't necessarily have a plan because he didn't play instantly. But still, lots of good options here. One of the moves is a4. This was mentioned earlier. Just taking space on the queen side. This stops any b5 expansions. opponent going to think for 40 minutes and even out the clock? We can only hope. But yeah, 40-minute advantage, actually, when you say it just straight up like that, I mean, that is actually a lot, you know? That's almost half the clock, right? You start with 90 minutes. She's at 52, so she's almost at half of her time. And this guy, he's still over his starting time, an hour and 31. So he might dip below his starting time on this move. But yeah, like if I were him, like I would be very tempted to just, you know, play a quick move. The thing is though, Phoebe's definitely responded very well to his opening choice. So 96, it stops g5 immediately. It looks at knight f4 is going to pose a huge question. What are you going to do with this bishop, right? Are you going to castle? So he decides to play his knight in. He has played knight to c4, and this immediately puts pressure on e6. Now, Phoebe can ignore that because, like I said, knight f4 comes with a big tempo. So he still has an hour 30, and he gets up and walks away. Phoebe, where did she go? She left originally to get T, but now she has T. So what's she doing this time? We need to get her back to the board and play knight f4 and see what he does. Maybe he'll castle, and she can take that bishop. She should probably just leave the knight on f4, in my opinion. But we do have another chair battle here. Chair versus chair. So who has the better chair? They're probably the same chair, but his chair looks like the coat is hanged up on it. I don't know, keeping it warm. It looks cold out there. I don't know if there's like some snow on like the tree out there, but it does look cold. It's also kind of late. Yeah, saying that White would love to trade this bishop for the knight. Yeah, these pawns are on light squares, right? A knight on f4 would be one of the best pieces, not only for black, but perhaps for the entire position. Especially if White were to castle short. But essentially what makes this square so great is that the G pawn has pushed and the E pawn is pushed. So this f4 square, I realize now I'm like pointing at it on the board that you guys aren't looking at. But this square is definitely what's considered an outpost. There's no pawn that could force a piece off of this square, right? And this bishop isn't doing great. So when Phoebe plays the move d4 and her opponent locks the center with a response e4, this puts pawns on light squares, and that kind of locks in this bishop. My chair would do better in winter climates. That's a fun fact that I didn't know. All right, Phoebe's back. She's back, and she's writing the move down. Let's see. Does she go for knight f4? This is the move that I'm hoping for. It's the most forcing move. Remember, White just brought in their knight to c4, which attacks her e pawn. But Phoebe can have a stronger attack. Oh, Yos's chair. That's true. Yos's chair has the coat. Got it. Sorry. JOS is very close to JOE. You know, one letter difference. But anyways. What's up, Joe Broke? Good to see you. Chess is an exciting sport. All right, they're both back now. He's back. He took his water with him, I think. But it's about half empty. Or is it half full? I guess I gotta be more positive in my outlook. Okay. Anyways. It's stupid. How many sips Dude, got your rook. I thought that was your job. You went AFK. All right, she's played it. Knight into f4 on the board. All right, this is exciting because now we get to see this guy has a decision to make, right? This is hanging with tempo. So he's got to defend it somehow, either by moving it or castling, or queen f3 is another idea. A rook move works, but no, we see the move bishop to f3. This is definitely a little awkward, actually. And you guys, I don't know if you'll believe this next move recommended by the computer, but it is very exciting. Maybe I'll let you guys guess what it is first before I show it. We do have a bit of time here. So put yourself in Phoebe's shoes, right? Your opponent just played pretty quickly. It's kind of awkward. Bishop to f3. This is not typically where a bishop goes. Her opponent just played knight to c4 earlier, attacking the e pawn. So do you bring the bishop back? Do you defend the pawn? And your opponent's playing pretty instantly. He's back over the starting time, an hour and 31 minutes. Meanwhile, Phoebe, she's got only 48 minutes, right? So how much time do you want to invest here? How much time can you invest? Do you play quickly? Right? And probably if you're feeling time pressure, you don't want to take risks. You don't want to take gambits or gambles, which I'm just now realizing maybe the word gambit and gamble are related somehow. I don't know what their root is, but maybe it's the same. Anyways, should I share what the top move is? I see some people have actually suggested it. Yeah. B5, top recommended move. This shows an evaluation of -1 in black's favor. I myself have not even looked at this yet. But I have the sneaking suspicion that because the bishop is on f3, if we play a move b5, attacking the knight, if white grabs a pawn, this knight gets trapped, as there's no retreat. So just to show this on the board, b5, knight takes. You could even move bishop d6. And where does the knight go? Knight to c6, queen c7. So something like this. E5, we could just take. Oh, actually, this gets a little complicated, right? Wow. Bishop b7 though, and this guy's pinned. So king f1. I guess we take e5. Yeah. It's even material, but it ends up being favorable for black, better position. But I will say that is pretty complicated. That is pretty deep, and I have a sneaking suspicion Phoebe's not going to go for it because of the time situation. I think that she's going to play a move like bishop f8, or maybe even queen c7, both of which fantastic moves. Why not queen c7 right away? That's a great question. I mean, that is definitely one of the best moves. So, yeah. Computer's even saying you could gambit the e-pawn, just develop our bishop, knight takes, then queen c7, knight back to c4, then b5, and play from there, down a pawn. I don't think Phoebe would do that either. I don't think she should. I think both of these moves are fantastic. Bishop to d6. I don't know if white would take this bishop, but bishop on f8 is a very solid piece. It's typically a good defender. And maybe down the line, we'd prefer to keep both bishops. So not giving the opportunity for white to trade if they want. H1 chess, appreciating Gerber, thank you. All right, did she play bishop? Hold on, let me take a quick look. What did she do here? She brought her knight back to d7. Okay, that is not one that we looked at. It does defend the e-pawn. This was the top recommended move a couple moves ago, actually. It's clearing the way for the f-pawn, but it does block our bishop. So this was not on my list of moves, but computer still really likes this. It's possible the knight might make the same reroute as the other knight did. Yeah, she is defending that. There were other ways. Like I would have preferred a move like queen c7 because it develops a piece, right? It also defends the pawn. So this knight on f6, it was already developed. Phoebe might have been worried about a move like g5. Her opponent has just played the bishop back. All right, we have a prediction in chat. So yeah, her opponent, man, so speedy. He still hasn't spent any time on the clock. Absolutely. I hate when players play like this because it's just always so. I'm a slow player myself, right? It's very easy to say, oh, Phoebe should play faster. I totally get it. There's a lot going through her mind. And I'm like, hey, queen c7, develop and defend. She's thinking about g5, right? But perhaps g5 is a move that you're going to induce before you play a move like knight d7, because maybe queen c7, make g5 happen, then the knight comes back, right? But yeah, Phoebe, she's a thinker like myself, always kind of worrying about things. You don't want to miss something, right? Because in classical chess, you miss something and it feels like the game's over. So at least that's my personal experience a lot of times. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the threat isn't actually just to take the knight. The threat is actually taking this pawn now, because if knight takes, then our knight hangs. So yeah, white has a couple tricks. We could bring our knight back, although this is a great outpost. We could support, but move like h4 maybe could be played, and if we take that, well, we're hoping open up. So this is a backwards move. This is underdeveloping, right? So white's even further from castling short or long. But I suspect this bishop will likely take this if given the opportunity. All right, so let's see this prediction. How will Phoebe do today? A win. Phoebe is the best. Draw. 0 points for a draw. Loss. Opponent too strong. I might take that draw offer because, you know, even though I personally believe Phoebe's going to win, Phoebe's going to get the dub. If you look at the channel points, I mean, 0 right now, that's got to be the best kind of return. What if I put 1 point? Someone who did that? Vincent, LOL. Smart guy. Smart guy right there. Always believe Phoebe's going to win, yeah. What would I have played if I were in her shoes? Queen c7, I think. But okay, that's also a question that, like, if I see the eval bar and the lines, just how you guys see the eval bar, it completely changes how you view the game, right? Believe it or not. I feel like that's not a controversial statement at all, but I think sometimes people forget how easy chess looks when you're commentating versus playing, right? Maybe we've all kind of experienced that where it's like you watch a game, sometimes you watch players stronger than you play and you're like, did they miss that? Like, oh, they flag, like I would have seen that or whatever. But if there's an eval bar or you see the lines, you're just immediately biased, right? We see that Phoebe's favorable in this position. She doesn't know that. Her opponent might not know that. Or perhaps they know it, but you don't know the moves necessarily. You have to figure it out yourself. So it's always easier to spectate and to commentate because we have that crutch, right? So it's easy to judge. It's always harder to play, of course. And she's feeling pressure as well. She's the one that's sitting there playing. She's got the camera on her. She knows she's got all the fans supporting her. Tons of pressure that I'm sure she's putting on herself. But win, lose, or draw, I'm just glad that we're all gathered here today in support of Phoebe, and we have this opportunity to witness her game live. So shout out to her for setting this all up. It's also a lot of extra work on her to talk to the organizer, make sure she has permission to stream it, bring in a phone and set up a call, set up a stand. It's a lot of extra work that goes in. Her opponent just has to show up and play, right? I don't know if there's any Yost fans out there that are tuning in. I would hope so. That'd be cool. But I'm assuming he doesn't stream. He's also got the white pieces, so that helps out. And I mean, yeah, his opening instantly every move. He still hasn't spent any time from the starting position. That brings me to a good point. What is Phoebe's clock at right now? She's at 39 minutes. And we're not even out of the opening yet. I mean, okay. I would say we kind of are out of the opening, but white hasn't still castled. The bishops haven't developed. This bishop has developed and then underdeveloped. Yeah, I don't know. Knight g6, top recommended move. Just ducking out of these threats, right? But queen c7 is also very solid. I don't want to see b5 now. She might be tempted. I'm sure she sees this threat. So, also with a move bringing the knight back, this opens up the f pawn. I don't think she'll do this, especially after this capture. That doesn't seem too pleasant. So yeah, we'll see. Knight e6 also could be a move. I don't think she'll miss knight e5. I think she sees it. You would play bishop g5, trading dark square bishop. Bishop g5, I pointed this out. This was one of the first ideas. I think h4 should be somewhat worrisome for black. And the idea of this is after takes something like this. Knight back. I suppose, I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, but what I don't want to do is give the H file. But okay, she's played a move. And what has she played? She brought her knight back to g6. She's played the best move. So that is really good news. But yeah, okay, her opponent, for the first time in the game, he's less than the starting position. He's got an hour and 29 minutes, you guys. So he has officially spent a couple seconds of his time. So that's progress. Phoebe's gonna come back on the clock. No, but okay, she did find the best move, right? This is great. I mean, best move. She's got knight h4 now in certain lines, although bishop is defended. But yeah, like white's piece is not looking great. Like, what are these bishops doing, right? Bishop right here, tall pawn. Bishop back here hasn't developed. Phoebe's bishop hasn't developed either, but this bishop can't really go anywhere. Like, you can go here or here. It's pretty much it. But if you go here, you're not doing much. And if you go here, you're definitely not doing much. So, yeah, I mean, the hippo has its drawbacks. I just wish, well, perhaps Phoebe can play in time pressure well, but from historically, I don't think that she does well in the time pressure. So, all right, knight comes in. This is the natural square for the knight to be, putting some pressure on the bishop. I don't suspect white would ever take this bishop for this knight. This knight is an absolute beast on the board. But that 30-second increment did not bring him back to an hour 30. He is at an hour 29. So, yeah, Phoebe, she's got less than half. It's like 37 minutes. She's gonna start rattling off some moves, and that's definitely where you start to get nervous, where you're gonna make a mistake and miss something. So, I think that she'll definitely bring attention to her time management. She knows it's just hard to push yourself when you're unsure and even potentially worried about making a mistake. Notice both knights control d6, right? So probably what we want to do is bring this knight somewhere so that our queen opens up to see d6 as well, right? So like a move like b5 that we've been thinking about, this perhaps could bring the knight in, right? Knight d6, and we're forced to give up one of the bishops to not lose the exchange. Yo, John Bartholomew with the raid. Let's go. Also, what's up, Caspian? Shout out to the main JB. How's it going, John? I feel like haven't seen you in a while, so I hope all is well. Absolute legend. If you guys aren't following John Bartholomew, what are you doing? One of the OGs. What's up, Frank? Good to see you. If you guys are just tuning in, I'm covering Phoebe Witte's OTB tournament at The Hague in the Netherlands, the Hague Open. She's an awesome streamer. You guys probably have heard of her already. You should definitely check her out. Her channel should be linked in the stream title. Also exclamation point Phoebe to have it there in the chat. But yeah, let me start from the start. We'll start from the beginning. We have e3 d3. And at this stage, we were contemplating if white was going to play the cow, popularized, if not originated from Anna Kramling, another famous streamer. Instead, we see a hippo. So, man, I wish I could bring John in on a call right now. He could tell us all about the hippo. I'm sure he's got so much knowledge on these kind of things. I don't know if he's ever seen it over the board. But yeah, Phoebe, she takes the center. She closes the center wisely. She had some issues here, right? Because both knights are tied down to defending these center pawns, which aren't defended by anything else. So g5 is an immediate threat to try to dislodge this defender. So she solidifies the center, brings the knight back, reroutes to this lovely outpost on f4, attacking the bishop. Bishop f3, perhaps slightly awkward move here. And this is where I go into some sideline variations, but she plays this move, knight d7. So bishop back, and now she plays the move, knight to g6. All right, knight f5, and now this is where we're at. b5 was a variation, but all right, she's making her move. She's bringing her knight into h4. All right, she's trying to trade off this knight this way. I think this move makes a lot of sense. This knight on f5, definitely the best piece for white. Taking it, I'm a little nervous about. We mentioned this in an earlier line. Either way that white takes kind of helps them out. You get the g file or you get the diagonal, right? So taking the knight, this knight's such a good piece. You don't know if you want to take it or leave it, right? But she's hoping perhaps white were to take, and then she can take back with her bishop, and this would be really good for Phoebe. I suspect her opponent won't go for that. But this also clears up our g-pawn if we wanted to kick the knight away. So she's definitely working around this knight. She's trying to see if she can maybe trade it off. She's also putting pressure on this bishop here. So we're all hoping that white plays queen d2. You never know. There's a lot of time pressure he's feeling. That was a joke. Is this FIDE rated? Yeah, this is FIDE rated. So I believe the ratings listed here are their FIDE ratings. I do want to say or bring attention to the clocks, the clock time. His knight may be slightly covering it, but this guy has played every move essentially instantaneously. This is a 90 plus 30 game. So they both started with an hour and a half. Phoebe is down to 34 minutes. So she's almost used 2/3 of her time. Whereas her opponent is at an hour 27. So he has only spent, well, now an hour 20. He's spent 4 minutes to Phoebe's 56 minutes. So that is definitely a cause for concern and an area of improvement. I think that Phoebe could play a little faster out of the opening. To her credit, she's played fantastically so far. And this is not a very common opening to expect, right? So she's got the black pieces. We do see the knight actually trades for the bishop. I think that is a misplay, if I could call it that. The knight was a fantastic piece, and I said if she were to take, that would benefit white. So she now has to just take back this knight, probably with the queen. Also, we mentioned knight d6 looked annoying too. So this guy playing really quickly, and we do see a queen capture. So this helps Phoebe develop. I think these are good developments for Phoebe, and this is probably her fastest move that she's made because she has to recapture. Taking with the queen helps develop a piece. The rook probably slightly awkward there. Actually, rook takes probably big mistake. So immediate recapture with the queen, and that's a very easy response. She doesn't have to think very long for that. That's why I think that's not a good move for white, right? This guy's been pressuring her the whole game on the clock, whether it be by his own moves or by Phoebe's own doing. But this move doesn't pose any threats or questions. It's a simple trade and a simple recapture. So if we see more moves like that from white, Phoebe's definitely going to get back in it on the clock, right? But, I mean, she's down essentially 50 minutes. It's going to be hard, I think, to catch up there. But, okay, all that being said, I think these are great developments for her. We still might see this queen e2 blunder. We're going to see. She won't need to catch up on the clock if we see a move like this. I don't suspect we'll see it, but who knows. Anyways. Maybe we could look back at some of the other moves, actually. So other variations or lines, right? So knight h4. Let's say white went here. The computer wants us to take f5 because if white takes the rook, then we simply save the knight and this guy's trapped. So we would see something like this. We'd have two pieces for a rook. This would be favorable. So that's perhaps why some people were saying knight d6 now. If the other knight went to d6, then the computer actually wants to move b5. Same thing. If we take the rook, we take this knight, and this knight's trapped. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if knight takes pawn? Because that's what I'm thinking. So, I actually don't know. Apparently knight f8. And the knights are awkward. I don't really know. Castles, bishop e6. Just play like the, I mean, takes. Queen b8 fork. Wow. So these sometimes computer lines we don't really want to analyze. But b5 is the top recommended move. So yeah, here if not, then rook f8. Maybe the piece is a little awkward. So yeah, knight h4. What did the computer want? Just to castle. But yeah, just maintaining the tension, I think. Either way. Somehow computer likes the move g5 as well, actually, which is a little crazy. It's a little crazy. If we take this, rook g1, right? And now, yeah, it's a gambit, but perhaps you're getting that material back. Bishop f6. Knight can take on g7. Takes, and now bishop g5 is very annoying. Yeah, lots of counterplay for a pawn, right? So yeah, whites maybe not using their time wisely, simply capturing here, and now queen takes, and yeah, I guess queen did move to e2, not d2, but let's see. Phoebe's making a move. She's bringing her queen up to f6, and this is fantastic actually. This is gonna force her knight back, or his knight back to d2, which he's played. So yeah, Phoebe, I mean, she's rattling off some moves here. She's making threats. So definitely she's got the momentum. Knight back to d2, definitely a passive move. Purely defensive. And this bishop is locked, right? This bishop, not sure what its future is. This bishop's in the basement right now, still at home. Hasn't even developed. I mean, it developed. It like went off to college, but now it's back home. It graduated, and unfortunately, maybe it's taking a gap year. I'm not sure. But Phoebe, I mean, her knight, he's got a job, right? He's doing things over here. He's supported. Uh, maybe he's still got to bring out these pieces. But all in all, I mean, I'm liking the position more and more. So definitely worried about the clock, but I think the opponent, he's been maybe too worried about the clock too. He's been playing super quick, and he hasn't taken time to really pause and think and plan out. Right? Definitely knight h4 is a moment where he could have been like, okay, you know what? I am up about an hour on the time. Maybe I could use a couple minutes, maybe, to see if I can punish this knight h4 move. Because we don't really want the knights on the edge of the board, right? And the knight on f5 is just such a monster piece. I don't even calculate lines where Phoebe captured back, right? I mean, we could even look at that, but hold on. We're getting a move. All right, b5. b5 played from Phoebe. This move, it's taking space, right? So it's limiting white's options. I would have liked maybe a knight move. Like imagine, oh, imagine this. That would be almost dream scenario. Um, B5 definitely a solid move for sure though. But yeah, these guys are the last ones to get involved. This guy too. This move, we create some space for the bishop. I'm not sure if we want to be here. Maybe. I'm wondering if there's going to be some G5 sacrifice or Rook G1 probably. No, he goes back for the fianchetto. But look at the eval bar, you guys. This is not a good move. Rook G1 was needed because this at least white has some active play, and the bishop here would have made me think twice about capturing. The problem with this move now, queen takes, there's no rook G1 follow-up, right? Because it's just not a protected square. White's probably looking to get castled is what's happening, I believe. So from here, the computer likes this move C4, super aggressive. And what does this do? I mean, it's starting to open things up. It's preventing white from castling. It's creating avenues to attack, opening up space, creating a space for the knight, maybe creating a space for this diagonal for the bishop. Notice queen defends the square. Yeah, this is an exciting time. But of course, Phoebe low on the clock. But knight f8 even. I was looking at this move earlier, and the idea is I want to put this knight on f4. This knight on f4 would be just a monster piece, in my opinion. So lots of great options here for Phoebe. So we'll see. Someone's saying for a5. And if a5... Or actually, no, Phoebe can play. Sorry, this is a5. She could play a5, a4 for sure. And so saying essentially, okay, try to castle long. I'm going to get the a file and attack you. Good luck. Definitely a good position for Phoebe. We'll see how she handles the time pressure. So definitely an exciting time. Exciting position here, folks. But low time for Phoebe. She doesn't have a lot of... She's under 30 minutes. Let's see. She's lifting her hand. She's bringing the knight in. Okay. So the knight has gone to b6. Solid. I mean, this will help her with an a5, a4 move. The knight doesn't have any forward moves from here, unfortunately. So that's why I think knight into one of these two squares to ultimately reach f4 would have been fun. Strong, for sure. But, okay, also, even though we're not threatening to move forward, we are controlling this square more. So c4 is just always a strong idea because it comes with the threat of a fork. Why the computer likes c4 immediately, we can look into this line, right? If you take this way, now the computer wants knight b6. And this is kind of crazy, but takes here now. Now you can play the move knight a4. Oh my goodness. Hold on. So giving up 2 pawns, rook b1. You could play rook b8. This is crazy. I thought here maybe we play here. But then knight c3, bishop takes, pawn takes. You're winning this piece, actually. Wow. There's no taking this knight. And the queen would have to... No, you're just winning a piece here. That's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, seeing... Okay, so knight b6, it's different because... I mean... I guess technically white can castle, and then we won't have these same threats anymore. Maybe. I'm not even sure. Let's say castles here takes. Now knight a4. It wants bishop d4 here. It's or just straight up give up the piece. Like that's how bad it's saying it is. Although takes, I wonder if a4 helps us. Because now the knight's perhaps trapped. Man, classical chess is tough. It's also just it's very fun. There's so much. There's so many lines, variations. There's a lot to calculate. Um, and of course the computer is going to see all the lines with the sacrifices of the pawns. It's so difficult to do that in person because if you make a mistake, you're just going to be down. You're going to miss something. You constantly have to be double checking. That's where a large source of Phoebe's time is going. I'm sure she's looking at a lot of different lines and variations. She surely looked at some of these. She's deciding, okay, let's go for this c4 break. She sees perhaps c4 is good, right? So b5, knight b6, and let me take a look what exactly is happening on the board now. So he's played rook to g1. All right. This was a move that perhaps was beneficial earlier. I wonder, did I miss any moves? It's hard. I'm trying to concentrate on everything. He's at an hour 22. So does she go for c4? Does she go for it? Critical moment in the game. Actually, I don't think it's that critical. She's got a lot of solid moves. c4 is the best, though. c4 is the best. a5 is also up there. The computer also likes knight g6, looking to get to f4. So what does rook g1 do? It threatens perhaps g5. Like, let's say Phoebe makes a somewhat natural, like, bishop development move. g5. Her queen should probably go back. She could go forward, but then she'll get forked, right? So that's not good. So there's no forward moves here. If you go here, this is maybe a little awkward. Bishop h5, right? So white starts getting some momentum. c4 kind of keeps white on their toes. It's aggressive. GM Solver with the rate of 64, the chess square. Thank you and welcome. I instinctively went to shout you out, but we have some lovely moderators in Phoebe's chat, so definitely make sure you appreciate the moderation, helping out. Appreciate all the viewers, all the mods, and the VIPs. Definitely the VIPs, a crucial role in serving the community. But welcome. My name's Joe. I'm covering Phoebe's round 2 of the Hague Open. I can go through the game and show you all how this went. She's got the black pieces. She's playing someone a little higher rated than her, but he's playing a hippo opening, e3, d3, both knights to e2 and d2, and then going for the double fianchetto. So, yeah, Phoebe closing the center, rerouting the knights. She gets into f4 with tempo, bishop f3, and here we have knight back to d7, knight back to g6, bishop coming in, or sorry, the knight's coming in. Let's see, I need to promote this line. Knight h4 played, knight takes, queen, queen e2, queen f6, tempo on the bishop, knight back, b5, bishop fianchettos again, knight b6, and here we see the move rook to g1. So now it's Phoebe's turn on the clock. Now, Phoebe is definitely a thinker. She has unfortunately spent a little too much time in the opening, I would say. Her position is lovely. She is by far the favorite on the board, which I think matters most, frankly. However, the time management, she's almost down a full hour. She has 25 minutes. This is a 90 plus 30 game. So there's 30-second increment. Her opponent has only spent 8 minutes of his time. He still has over an hour 22 minutes on his clock. She's at 24 minutes now. So this is unfortunately just not a good recipe for success. Despite her position being fabulous, if she doesn't, convert a big advantage, right, then the time is not so important. Let's see. She played knight g6. So yeah, we were looking at c4 being a very aggressive move, right? But of course, the rook to the g file helps support a move like g5, attacking the queen. So knight comes back to g6. The knight was defended by the queen, so maybe she's preparing. She wants to play knight f4. This much is, I think, clear. So this is going to be a very lovely outpost for our knights. Again, we had a knight on f4 earlier. This bishop was threatening to take it. So this knight taking a couple trips. But with the knight on d2, bishop now on b2, knight on f4 is going to be beast of a piece for quite some time, for the foreseeable future. Yeah, white might be considering going back, but maybe more likely we'll see this knight come in to h5 someday. But if the queen gets hit with f4, I mean, the queen's going to have to go somewhere. If you go here, you're blocking the knight. If you go here, you're blocking castling. And Phoebe still has c4, a5, a4 ideas in the bag, right? She can play those whenever. So the position slowly but surely continuing in her favor, right? Black is for choice. And he's thinking, he's got both hands holding up his head right now because he needs all of his head to focus, So he's rubbing his face. Maybe we take a closer look at this thought process here. Earlier, we had both players getting up, leaving the board. Now, all eyes on this board. He's thinking, he's like, man, knight f4. Geez, that's a strong piece. Where am I going to put my queen? Do I go to f1 or do I go back to d1? Do I castle now so that knight f4 I can go queen e1? I mean, that seems reasonable. But, if castles, Phoebe's going to hit you with a5, c4, a4. I mean, she's got a lot to play for here. Yeah, he's thinking through all this right now. White resigns. I don't think we'll see that. Okay, bishop tucks back to h1. Another benefit of moving the rook to g1. This was a curveball. I was not expecting this. That was not on my radar. So let's take a look back at the board here. Let's see. Knight f4. This does free up f3 for the queen, but I mean, come on, Phoebe. Knight f4, it plays itself. You just played knight g6. The board is screaming. Derp can hear the board speak the piece. I mean, this knight's looking straight up at Phoebe, saying, "Play, move. I'm ready. Put me in, coach. It's my time to shine." It's going to take how many moves before white could replace this knight or flush the knight out? Knight here. Now hitting queen and pawn, by the way. So probably he didn't want to play the queen back. So probably he's going to go here. Although, I don't know. This bishop, though, not too happy of a piece, am I right? We thought the bishop was a tall pawn up here. I don't know. Is it better tucked away on h1? Now that h file can't be used by a rook so easily, right? Although the rook did just come from there, but all right, come on, Phoebe. Knight f4. What's there to think about? We don't have the time. She's gonna play it any second. She's just double checking, perhaps. Phoebe, is she gonna reach over? She's using only one hand to prop up her head, so key difference here. Let's see. Now only one finger. Okay, here we go. Knight f4 on the board. She's played it. 23 minutes on her clock. Her opponent's leaning forward now. His time. Where is he going to put this queen? The queen pretty much only has two options. Unless he wants to gambit the pawn. So, to show you guys, there's three real moves. Okay, what does he play? He's played queen to f3. This is logical, given his previous move of tucking the bishop back. Man, if rook here, I mean, okay, now she's got to go for c4, right? You guys agree? Is this the logical continuation? Is that what we're feeling, Phoebe? c4. Has c4 been on her radar? Starting back when she played b5, knight b6. What else could we be thinking? c4 explosive. You think she's gonna play queen h4? I don't hope for a move like queen h4 because I'm not sure what you plan on doing from there. I'm not sure what the plan is. Queen h4. You're attacking the h pawn, yes? Okay, but perhaps just simply like rook up, castle, double. Computer is even calling for bishop c1, which is kind of a funny idea. But c4 is the active approach. Let's look at this quickly. We've looked at it earlier. Yes, but let's say knight takes, pawn takes. Now, this structure is just horrible, right? Bishop a6, we're essentially immediately winning the pawn back, right? There's no defending it. So it is a gambit of a pawn, but Phoebe would win it back pretty quickly, right? If pawn takes first, bishop a6 still. So would love to see a move like c4 from Phoebe here. Halting the attack. Yeah, there's this move g5 that could be played. We do stop the h-pawn, but the queen covers that anyways. I guess if g5 and the queen moves, well, I guess they could continue pushing, but computer's saying if not c4. She has played queen h4. Wow, okay. I was not expecting this one, but she's played it. The computer wants the bishop back to c1. It's also saying knight f1. She's going after the H pawn. Um, I wonder if you could just play bishop here. The computer wants you to go back to f6. Computer's also saying a5 is good here. That's interesting. The thing about the queen on f6 is that we're supporting the knight still. If we push the c pawn now, perhaps there's lines where we drop this pawn because the pawn is overloaded, right? Pawn march destroyed. Thanks for the 100 bits. Appreciate that. Lance, she's in the Netherlands. Do I like Pop-Tarts? I haven't had one in a very long time. Maybe. I mean, as a kid, I wouldn't get them now. Anyways, lunchtime. Nice. On your lunch break. Love that. Always repeat. Yeah, I just think I think Phoebe's just going in the wrong direction with this move, right? Queen was better off on f6, supporting the center. She's concerned about a pawn potentially, but c4 was the way to act. Like she's neglecting this bishop. I think bishop a6, or just attacking on the king side. So okay, we do see the rook lift. This is what I called for in my quick analysis, perhaps. But yeah, now moves like c4 don't work as well, right? If we play c4, bishop takes d4 even immediately is a good tactic, right? So we had a lot of attack counterplay chances with c4. Now tactically it doesn't work out because we needed the queen on f6 to defend the knight, because now we need the pawn here to defend d4. Otherwise this pawn is overloaded. So essentially she's losing some threat in the position. When she goes queen h4, the queen is now sidelined, right? It controls less squares. It creates a singular solid threat of winning a pawn, but this pawn is not relevant in the entire grand scheme of things for the position, right? The position, as we see, white is having an issue developing. Look at the bishop. Look at this bishop, right? We can break the position. We can break the structure with a move like c4. And this opens up for our bishop and our rooks. Like this king is still in the center. We want to be aggressive here. When we're ahead in development and we have the better position, we want to open things up. So unfortunately, we don't want to open things up at a cost of our structure and our position, right? And for their activity. If we play for c4 now, even if we do open things up, we're losing our d pawn, which is very important. And this activates this bishop, and it threatens to just win more material, right? Bishop takes here is a threat as well. So we don't want to leave ourselves tactically vulnerable. So queen on f6 was more relevant to the position than it is on h4 now. So queen h4 definitely was a spot and does create a threat, but now we see it's defended. The computer wants the queen to come back. If you go to h6, you're still defending this knight. So that's interesting. Let's see. She's just played a move. So she's brought her queen back now to g5. Okay. So she's at 19 minutes and he is an hour 18. So yeah, 59-minute advantage for this guy. 58 minutes now, but still basically an hour is kind of crazy. Hello, Mandy. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Brody. Yeah, I would say Phoebe's definitely got the favorable position, but she's very low on time. 19 minutes is a lot for what we're used to witnessing here on Twitch for speed chess, but her opponent has an hour and 17. When you look at the clock, you kind of hope that it's 19 minutes versus 1 minute and 17 seconds, but no. You can see his clock is only at 17. It's staying there because he's got an hour and 17 minutes. So we're getting maybe a little down to the wire here, a little nervous. He's brought the bishop back to c1. So this bishop is fianchettoed twice and is underdeveloped twice. So that's fun. Anyways, yeah, he's trying to pin her and deal with this knight. This knight is a really strong piece. So perhaps knight to f1 will be played. So let's see. Phoebe, yeah, computer likes queen f6 again. Thank you, Mandy. Appreciate you. Yeah, we're all cheering for Phoebe. Actually, we did a prediction. I never put my points in, but looks like the favored bet is that she's going to lose because her opponent's too strong. But we have 28% of the points for the believers, so shout out to them. Let's see. The queen's coming all the way back home, back to d8. So yeah, you see queen h4, queen g5, queen d8. And now the queen's going to have to move again at some point, right? So we just spent a lot of time shuffling. But okay, c4 is not necessarily like super easy, right? It's not fully support. Like we saw that perhaps it's a gambit, right? So it's a riskier move. It's not clear right away that Phoebe could get enough counterplay to justify and to get it back, right? So especially when you're down on time, you don't want to risk. We see a quicker knight f1, so this knight's being attacked again. I suspect Phoebe will bring the knight back, like we saw earlier in the game when White had this threat. She might just go back to g6 because she was there already. So she knows that she's been there comfortably. There's 30-second increment, Lance. All right. So how quickly will she play? Maybe we'll go over the game again from the start for people tuning in for the first time. We see Phoebe's French defense against a hippo. So solid development from both sides. Phoebe takes the center with e5. She closes the center after the threat of attacking her knight. Both knights are defending both center pawns, which are both attacked by both bishops. So Phoebe locks the center in with d4. And she plays within this structure. She gets a beautiful knight on f4, attacking the bishop. She saves that knight after the threat of the bishop on c1. We see this trade here actually offered by Phoebe. White should have kept the knight here. Instead, trades off this awesome knight for the bishop. And now, Phoebe's knight gets activated to f4. Let's see, that was not the move. Oh, bishop b7 was also not the move. Hold on. Rook g1, and now she plays knight g6. So bishop back, knight in, hits the queen. Queen to f3. And now here's where she really should have gone for this c4 idea. And instead, Phoebe goes to the sidelines with the queen. Still not seeing c4. She plays queen to g5. Bishop c1, and now queen d8, and knight f1. And now, what did Phoebe just do? Knight back to g6. Yeah, that was an expected move. So, knight here opens up the bishop, threatens the knight, so now we see knight back to g6. Simply not allowing this trade. The knight is really good, right? This bishop's really bad. It's not easily developed. It's already been underdeveloped twice. We're not going to allow a bad bishop to take our good knight. So Phoebe wisely brings the bishop or the knight back to g6, keeping an eye on these dark squares, potentially hitting the queen when the time is right, keeping an eye over h4. We might see the rook back to g1, although I kind of doubt it. We might see the bishop fianchetto again, although I doubt that. I mean, it's awkward, right? What to do? So let's see. Does he sacrifice his? Wait, hold on. What has he just done? Ah, he pushes his pawn. Okay. All right. So g5 on the board, and now again the computer wants c4. Also likes queen c7. Also likes a5. It's been calling for these two moves for quite some time. What does this move do, per se? Let's see. It opens up, perhaps, access here. Maybe we'll see the h-pawn get sacrificed. That's, like, not the worst idea. Let's look at a fianchetto. Just saw it. Yeah, h4 is actually top recommended move. And if we take this with tempo, queen h5 now, and if we save the knight, rook h3, checkmate on h7, threatened. Not checkmate, I guess, but very awkward. We have the move knight f8. But you see, we've given a couple opportunities for white to get into the game, right? And now we're defensive. And we always have to watch out. If we ever play c4, bishop to a3, targeting our knight. Our knight is a defender of h7. So even though black wins a pawn in this line, white now has a lot of life compared to a position, you know, that we could have potentially had earlier. Like here, for example. c4 right now is over. It's a -2 advantage, roughly. But eval doesn't matter so much. Let's see. Did Phoebe move? She did. What did she do? Ah, she goes for c4 now. Okay, c4 on the board. So this is definitely a good move. And the knight is no longer on d2 supporting this. So Phoebe has the confidence now to go for it. She definitely has the center. She's got the better position. She's castled. I mean, she's got the position. She's got the board. She just doesn't have the time. So let's see. h4 was recommended earlier. In this position, perhaps not so much. Yeah, we also like the queen on the c file, because if the c file opens, the queen can enter in a lot of positions. So this could be played later. So even though bringing the queen all the way back home maybe seems passive, she didn't like f6. She didn't like g5. So yeah, queen to h4 seemed to only induce this rook move, and this might still actually be good for us because it's blocking the knight, right? The knight could be happier on g3. So the rook's going to have to move again at some point. So even though we might have lost some tempi, it's not like it was completely unreasonable. So, and now the queen on d8 is flexible as well. So yeah, c4, and our opponent's going to have to think here and spend some of his time. He's got an hour and 14 minutes. Phoebe, meanwhile, 15 minutes, 47 seconds. So she's got a quarter of an hour, and meanwhile, he has about 3/4 of an hour. So definitely time odds. It's going to be tough. Hello, Chessweeb. Shout out to Chessweeb. Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing well. I didn't know Hikaru says D's Knights. Anyways, she played c4. c4 explosive. Apparently, there's a way that you can like put like an emoji on the board. I should probably know how to use chess.com better. Anyways. All right. Let's see. He's thinking. What's he thinking about? She's looking around. She's waiting for. She's ready for the move. She's like, "You gonna take me?" Okay, takes with the B pawn, so towards the center. Definitely the more natural capture. This should be instant recapture from Phoebe. Instant. B takes. Not much else has changed. You played C4. He's taking your C pawn, Phoebe. You gonna let him take? No, we're taking back. Let's go. B takes. Now, does he take again and invite the knight? I doubt it. But what does Phoebe want in a position? If she gets to move again, what would she do? Queen C7? Queen C7 on a lot of lines for sure. Maybe bishop to A6. Maybe C3. Okay, he brings his knight out. Let's go back to the board. Let's start putting these moves on. Knight back to D2. Now, she can play C3. She can play Queen C7. Maybe bishop to A6 as well. I'm like not so sure C3 is a move that I would consider, because I feel that keeping things closed might actually help white, because we want to really like attack and open things up, right? That being said, these pieces don't have a lot of potential, right? So if we play a move like A5, we're threatening to just attack the knight, and they play a move like A4. I was thinking we could play something like, I guess we want to prevent knight into B5. So we don't want to rush to attack this, because knight here defends, but even if we do something like this, we just play here, right? Ah, there's bishop A3 now. That's actually very peculiar. And if we take, surely this is good for us. There's no good discoveries, actually. Like, that's actually kind of crazy. If this, we can even take and promote. So, okay. Interesting ideas with C3. But, okay, so his knight is out. Sort of threatening this pawn, but not really. Because, again, if ever takes, the structure is just ruined for white. And she has bishop A6. What is white doing? Yeah, white played a hippo and is facing the consequences. Also, with the knight on D2, we have access again to F4. But I don't think she should jump in there, because the knight on D2 might move at any moment. So, okay, instead we see bishop to A6. She's finally developed this French bishop, which she played a French, but against a hippo. So, okay, bishop A6, supporting. And keeping things solid. I mean, now she can bring her rooks into the C file. She can still play Queen C7. Life is good. Life is good for Phoebe here. Take care, Dijon. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. What move are we on? I believe this is move 29. Let me see. G5. What did she go for the C4 now? Takes, knight D2, and now bishop A6. So yeah. Yeah, move 29. So next move is move 30. What ELO am I? My USCF is almost 1900. Chesley was last seen playing Gunfire Reborn. I don't even know what that is. If you do a stats command in my chess.com username, you'll see I'm about 2100. Anyways. Yeah, White, this guy's thinking again. So he's got an hour and 11 minutes. Man, I really hope Phoebe converts. I mean, it's not like necessarily winning. It's not like she's winning a piece or anything. She's got the better position. It's easier to play for her. White is on the struggle bus, right? Like maybe the bishop can come out. I mean, bishop. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he goes for something, but okay. Phoebe knight here comes with tempo. Like she could win this pawn. Takes knight here. That just yeah. Bishop g2 maybe is needed to play bishop back. Wow, he's going king up, and this is looking deadly, deadly actually. Oh my goodness, what if just knight f4 or takes in the knight f4? I mean, come on, this just looks devastating now. This is the biggest mistake of the game. He's playing like he has less than 20 minutes on the clock. Does this guy know? I mean, his clock says an hour and 11. Maybe he thinks it's a minute and 11 seconds. I don't know. Let's look at Phoebe. She's got to pounce on this. This is a huge mistake. Like, he can't get away with this, Phoebe. You got to punish this. King up, opposite your bishop. He's daring her to take. Knight f4, he must have forgotten about it. I mean, I don't understand what there could be to be missed. And Phoebe, she doesn't have a lot of time, but this move is almost clear. Clear as day. This is a move you play in blitz. What's up, Crypto? It lets him get out of the game faster. Hello, Jake. Phoebe, she's leaning forward. Look at this. She's gonna see it better now. We all know the closer you are to the board. I mean, actually, I do this when I'm playing online too. I can see I'm like lean in closer. She's really dialed in now. She's focusing. She's gonna either do the knight check or she's gonna take the pawn. She's gonna do one of the two. But she's got to do it soon. She is at 12 minutes. Come on, Phoebe. She knows this is a mistake. She probably is shocked. She can't believe it. She just needs to take the pawn. I would take the pawn first with check. The knight check comes, but the king goes and then takes on d3, maybe less forcing. But definitely a mistake. She's readjusting her posture. I don't know if anyone did a posture check, but come on, Phoebe. Don't let the clock run too low. We don't want the time to spoil a beautiful game. She's ran out of tea. That might be a big factor. But okay, she's leaning. Come on, Phoebe. She's under 11 minutes now. She's deciding between knight check and pawn takes. She has two fantastic options. She can't decide. Even a calm move like rook c, she doesn't even have to rush for it because there's no extra way for white to really defend the d pawn. So she's taking her time. I want to show you all just a couple ideas of how fantastic this is for her. Knight f4 check fork. The king has to move. King back. Now we can take with check. We could take with the knight. Even the rook coming into the c file is fantastic for her. She's in zero rush to take this. But, I mean, bishop takes. King g1. Now rook c8. Let's see. She's leaning in. She's taken with the pawn. So she is taking with the pawn. Knight check was also fantastic. Both basically the same. So she's done it. She's played the move. Pawn takes. So now the king is in check. Either the king moves and she takes another pawn, or he takes back and then gets checked on f4. So Phoebe is in the zone right now. She's cooking. She's just on a timer. She's got not a lot of time left. But there is 30-second increment, so it's gonna be hard to flag. But I mean, listen, this guy has all the time in the world, but like, what good is the time if you don't use it? The man just completely, shockingly played king to e2, a delayed bond cloud, and he's getting smoked. So yeah, rough choice from him. All the time in the world's not going to help him if he's not going to use it to play good moves. And Phoebe's absolutely capitalizing on it. She's taking her time. She's double checking, triple checking. She's ensuring she's playing good moves. And you can see it in the position. Eval bar completely in black's favor. He takes back. You can see he's not too happy. Phoebe writes down the move. You got to follow this up. Knight f4 check. Knight f4 check is the most natural move one could make. The real question is, how would you take back on d3? Do you take with the knight or do you take with the bishop, right? Questions to be asked, but to be answered after white commits the king. She has to play knight f4 check now. I mean, she doesn't necessarily have to, but what else? You could play rook c8, but no reason to be cute or fancy. She's already very cute, so she doesn't need to worry about that. Knight f4 check, fork, pick up the pawn. Answer the questions later. Rook c8, you can play that anytime. No rush. You would take with the bishop? Yeah, very sensible. Leave the knight here. Bishop to d3. Oh, she wants to sack the bishop, you mean? I don't think so. I don't think she'll do that. Obviously, bishop d3, queen takes, knight fork. Huge. But after king take, oh, you want knight check anyways. Force the king to the c file. Oh, man. Why do you have to make it complicated, Crypto? Why? That's too risky. She doesn't have the time for this. Just play knight f4 and take on d3. Easy peasy. I know I can't take it either, Chris. Come on, knight f4. I mean, she's really just, I don't know. She's got 8 minutes. All right, there it is. She's played it. It's on the board. Knight f4 check. King's got to move. And where exactly does he go? Let's see. He's picking up his king. He goes towards the center to d1. And the computer hates this move. It doesn't even want to take. It wants queen c7 or rook c8. But, okay, she can take on d3. And the computer likes knight takes. But I'm just curious. Let's follow the best line. Let's see. I don't expect this. Bishop g2. Knight a4. And, okay, let's say rook here. This is okay. This is a forced mate. So that's not good. Okay. Bishop's a3. And now queen to c3. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. It's too easy. It's too easy. Knight b3 saves both. Rook to c8, let's say. Even rook b8. Okay. We're threatening this. We're threatening this. Let's say this, just for an example. Knight b2. There's no legal move for the king. Bishop takes, queen takes. Knight c5. Once bishop b5. No, this is okay. Sorry, I wanted to just live in the fantasy land for a little bit. Although that could become a reality. Just saying. But king d1. Phoebe is yet to move. She's at 7 minutes. But yeah, likely she'll take the pawn. I suspect. There it goes. She takes with the knight. So knight takes d3. This is, we looked at queen c7, also rook c8. So taking the c file, these are the top two recommended moves. Knight takes d3, third best. So she had two pieces to take with. She takes with the knight. And I mean, man, this is just looking so good for Phoebe. She's preventing this bishop from developing. But okay, I think this guy is just kind of like done with it. He is not using his time at all. He just played the move h4. This guy is flopping like a fish right now. He's saying, go ahead, Phoebe. You make all the moves that you want. I'm just going to push this pawn. I mean, like, if Phoebe does nothing, maybe White can do something. But Phoebe's got to use this opportunity. Now she needs the c file. She needs to develop these last pieces. She's got the knight, the bishop. This guy can hop in when the time is right, but these guys need to start playing. So Phoebe, can she bring in one of the heavy pieces? This is her opponent, or her opportunity. Oh, she's only got 6.5 minutes. This is going to be quite the finish, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to see fireworks, or we're going to see the position go up in flames. Either way, we're in for a show. This is the moment. Can Phoebe follow through with a finish? Let's see what she's reaching for. She's bringing in the knight. She's got some extra checks in now. Let's see how the computer reacts to this move. Knight into a4. She's holding. I mean, there's a check here. There's a check on b2. She's got 6.5 minutes. This guy's at 1 hour and 10 minutes. And he's clearly showing he doesn't care. He just wants to make her make a mistake. But Phoebe's position's so good. She might not make a mistake. This might be... She needs to take the c file at some point. We need these guys in. It's only a matter of time. This also opens up for her queen, too, by the way. So, I mean, yeah. Life is good, folks. Let's see what Phoebe comes with. Phoebe's being an absolute artist right now on the board. She's got this canvas before her, and she's just laying down the strokes. Anything she does is probably really good. So she's not in a position where it's like, oh, she needs to find A, B, C, or X, Y, Z. No, she's got any of her choices are good. Rooks to the C file, queen to the C file. The computer's like recommending that White takes the knight. That's what the computer thinks is best. This is best case scenario for White. Queen to say give up the queen for the two minor pieces. All right, and I guarantee you this is not what he does. That's just not happening. All right, that's what the computer is just begging. We have knight to b1. The eval has not been this high yet in the game. It's reading almost -10 in Phoebe's favor. This knight, I'm not sure what it's preventing this one check, perhaps. Maybe freeing up some squares. But Phoebe now needs to take the c file. It's also liking just knight c3 anyways. Because what are you going to do? Pawn take? I mean, come on, we have all the knight discoveries. Things opening up. I wouldn't do this check. Just bring the queen in. First and foremost, the rook is now... White is setting up for the next game. I know the next round is a week from now, but this guy's like, get me out of here. I'm done. Come on. Look at this. Also, king's on the wrong square. Oh my goodness. Come on, Phoebe. C file. Queen c7. Rook c8. Come on, here we go. Queen c7. We're threatening to just take this. So I'm expecting bishop d2. Computer, again, it wants the sacrifice. But let's say bishop d2. Now, I mean, there's a check, but the computer wants queen to c4. Oh, man. Oh, man. I don't even... She just got to bring... This is calculating forced mate at this position. The computer wants queen f7 here. This is how drastic it gets. I'm going to say it's not actually that easy to find a mate for black. She just has to bring in more pieces. She just has to continue developing. So, yeah, but she's got no time. Look at her. She's so leaned forward and focused. She's going to feel the pressure. She knows she's winning. The hardest thing to do, though, is to convert. What's up, Ryan? How good is she in blitz? Her Lichess blitz, I believe, is about 1750 or 1700. Her rapid's like 1800. So, okay, rook to the c file. She's played rook to c8, solid move. And just combine that with queen to c7. She's threatening mate in one there. So either queen or rook, totally fine. Queen was a little bit better because the queen could more immediately join an attack. But rook is still fine. This is -8. All right, so she's not in a position where she could really throw or mess things up. She's got a ton of winning options. So here, I mentioned bishop to d2. Computer's also saying king to e2. We can look at this position here. One of these two moves the computer is calling for. What's up, Chess Surf? Good to see you. Yeah, she's just immediately threatening the bishop, right? So the computer's not going to play, or he's not going to play king e2. He's going to play bishop to d2. This is the human move. But now we have knight a to b2 check, king e2 forced, only legal move. And now we can go knight b4 check. Wait, we have discoveries. Wow, this is actually... Man, we wish we could discover with the queen, right? Knight here, we have king takes, getting out of it. So yeah, bishop d2 actually played. We very well could see this. She could play knight b2 check, force the king into the discovery. The problem is, it's not so clear where to find the best discovery. Knight f4 check, king e1. There's rook c2. Oh my goodness. What else? What else? Here's the fun line, guys. Rook c2, bishop takes, queen check. And if bishop block, rook c... rook check. Oh, queen d1 and mate. That's it. Yeah. No. That would be fun, but probably I don't know. Here takes. Oh my god. Oh my, I'm like freaking out for Phoebe right now. Does she play knight b2 check? Let's look at her position. She's got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. It looks like 3 minutes to 1 minute. The dude's got an hour and 8 minutes. Phoebe's going to be living off the increment in just a minute or two. Guys, I need the energy in chat for Phoebe. PMD gifting to chess serve. Thank you so much. Come on, Phoebe. 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 She's got so many winning moves. So knight c3 check is winning. Knight b2 check is winning. She could bring the queen into b6. She could probably play queen c7. The top 3 recommended moves are all double digits. Interface. She's played it knight a to b2 check. King to e2. Only legal move. So he's played it immediately. Instantaneously. And now pretty much any knight discovery. I mean, she's got knight f4 check, knight b4 check. She could bring in her rook. She could still bring in the queen. There's 30-second increment. She's got plenty of increment. She's just not got a lot of time. So 2.5 minutes on her clock. That is an hour and 8 minutes for her opponent. Over an hour time advantage, but his position, he's going to need more than an hour to recover from this. Phoebe just needs to convert. So pretty much we're in the final stages of the game. Phoebe's looking to close this one out. She could win. She's played it. Knight f4 check on the board. Just to show you all, the king now is in a double check, which means he has to move. Only legal move is king e1. King e1 played. Now, Phoebe can bring in the queen. Rook c2. This is one of the knockout moves. Queen to e7 it even likes. I mean, if they take this knight, then we're opening up the e file. Come on, Phoebe. She can bring in the other knight. I don't know if she should do that, but we love our bishop. This bishop is an all-star piece, cutting the king off. We have the king right where we want it. I don't think she wants to go for any more checks. She needs to finish bringing in the rest of her army. She needs rook c2. She needs to bring in the queen. Queen up, queen c7, like queen anywhere really is going to help with the finishing touches. She needs to realize this bishop doesn't want to take the knight, because then we're opening up for our e-file rook. And this bishop's a good defender. It guards this diagonal. Will she bring in her rook? Will she bring in her queen? It's getting even more tense. She needs to leave the knights. I don't think she should do another check. And yeah, hopefully she doesn't block the bishop either, because this king is just a sitting duck. Oh my goodness. I'm getting nervous. Let's see. What's her clock like? She's got to make a move. She's at a minute. 1 minute. It looks like they both have a minute. She's under a minute now, you guys. The rook in c2. It's the best move. She's played it. And she's back over a minute on the clock. Rook c2 played. Oh my goodness, guys. She's doing it. She's doing it. Oh my goodness. This guy's nervous. Looks like he's sweating. I mean, I would be too. I'm not even playing. I'm just commentating. This is insane. This is so exciting. Okay. What is the knockout? What's the follow-up? Best move recommended for white is the move queen to b3. And then all Phoebe has to do is bring up the queen and defend. It wants queen c8, which is kind of crazy, but okay. Queen b3. What else? It likes g6. That's not going to be played. What else is it like? Knight a3 I think makes some sense. If knight a3, then bam, rook d2. She's threatening to take if the knight moves. The knight is defending this bishop right now. Rook takes. If king takes, the queen joins the party. That's a fork. Wait, that's not a fork. The queen defends it. Well, probably we get something, but I don't know, guys. This should just be over. It should be game over soon. Come on. It's not so easy, though, to finish this. White has options, right? The knight and the queen both coming over to the queen side to aid in the defense. This is a tense moment. What's up, Bughouse player? This is the Hague Open in Netherlands. We're watching Phoebe Witte put on the finishing touches against her opponent. This game is not over yet. She only has a minute 24. He has an hour and 7. But all the time in the world should not save him from this position. Rook c2, a beautiful move from Phoebe, bringing in one of the key attackers, this rook. He might be considering taking the knight, but this would be a huge benefit for Phoebe. We can go over that line, actually. If you guys want to see, bishop takes. E takes. There's also queen check intermezzo. We already looked at bishop block, rook check mate. So that would be fun. She could insert this, but taking back immediately is the calmest response. If queen takes, queen check. If knight block, then we can play, it likes rook ec8, threatening mates. Gosh, that makes me even think queen takes is possible. But apparently you could play knight b3. That's funny, but okay, he has taken the bishop, by the way. So that actually is what's been played. So she doesn't have a lot of time. Probably she'll just take back because she doesn't need to be fancy. I want to look back at, like, do I have the right line even? No, I don't. Wait. So king d1 played. Knight takes d3. Here, probably it was bishop d2, right? Or rook c8. Yeah. Apologies, you guys. I'm just putting in the line here. So here takes. Now what does Phoebe do? Did she take back? She did. Take back, and now it's White's turn. Okay, so yeah. The eval, for those of you curious, it's rating minus 19.7. If White plays the best move. You guys want to know what the best move is? G6. Yeah, this position it's better. He's not playing G6. He's gonna play queen takes, and the eval here. Oh, it was over minus 30, but the eval has changed its mind. It says it's still minus 19. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm so excited for Phoebe right now. We just got to see this game close out, man. This is just absolutely insane. There's obviously the queen check. There's even rook e2 check. She's got to remember this bishop, even though it's been tucked away in the corner, it does defend this e-pawn, annoyingly so. He's thinking about resigning? No shot. He's thinking about flagging her somehow. He just has to resist checkmate and try to flag. Check and game over, no? So let's look. Queen a5. If knight here. Let's see. Wait. What happened? Did I miss a move? Is he just giving up the rook? Did he just play knight d2 without the check? Guess. I think he just played knight d2. So obviously she could take on g3. The computer wants queen a5. The computer says queen a5 is forced mate in 20. I mean, just take the rook, right? I mean, come on. I mean, the rook's hanging, no? She's got 20 seconds. Oh my goodness gracious, Phoebe. Phoebe, is now the time to be fancy? She just played rook to c3. Wait, but why? She's allowing queen f4 now. Oh my god. Oh my god, we're being too fancy. We're being too fancy. Queen takes f4, played. Okay, still winning, by the way. It likes queen c8, queen a5, even queen d7. It's still winning by a large margin, but questionable decision by both players, honestly. Knight d2, she doesn't even take the rook. She's going for an exchange. She could have won the rook for free. Oh my goodness. Okay, rook takes, really obvious choice here. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, bishop takes. No, rook takes. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah, time pressure. Time pressure is picking up. If we asked her why she didn't take the rook, she might not even realize she could have, because knight d2 was such a curveball. She's got a minute and 11 seconds. She's still winning, but it's the best the evals looked for white since he played king e2, delayed Bond Cloud. So it's only -3, which is still really good, obviously, but questionable moves. Queen a5, still a top recommendation. Pretty much no matter what white does, queen a5 is looking great. But boy, things were looking amazing. She played rook c3, man. Allowing queen f4. I don't know. Did we like see some transposition somehow? Like queen takes f4, then knight d2? I don't know if I'm seeing things right. What's up, Erud? Still winning, I know, but come on. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. She could have taken a rook on g3. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It liked queen a5 for forced mates. Taking the rook was second best. I mean, it was an absolute shocker this guy didn't take on f4 right away. He brings the knight out, and it pays off for him. Phoebe's time pressure makes her settle for an exchange when she could have had the whole rook. So black is still in it. It's still surviving, but I mean, position's still pretty bad. He just played e5? No way. No way he just played e5. Wow. e5 is bad because the pawn was defended by knight, queen, and bishop. You just lost two defenders. You're gaining some space, but I'm loving queen c7. First and foremost. Queen a5, also a huge threat. The threat being rook takes... Oh, queen e5 hits this as well. Oh my goodness. Queen a5, Phoebe. It went from -3 to now it's -7. So this man following up blunders with blunders. Phoebe's just gotta capitalize and knock this guy out. Queen a5, Phoebe. And surely, wait, she played queen c7 already. Queen c7, still a very decent move. Not as aggressive. Not as aggressive. Perhaps allowing knight f3, but hold on. No, the queen's coming in. She played queen c7. How do you defend this? I mean, I don't think you do. Why? This guy, he's been given a huge gift from Phoebe. Maybe bishop e4 and then just take here. I suspect. We'll see. Yeah, this guy wanted to get his bishop in. I was thinking he'd bring his rook in. Ira, that sounds amazing. Hope you have a good time. Game 1, she did not lose, so she's looking for her first win here. So g6 played, and now she can take with check. She might trade queens, which I personally would hate to see that, but okay, yeah, no, this is classic Phoebe. This is as textbook Phoebe as it gets. She trades queens here. I mean, we're gonna see this. I'm gonna put this on the board. This is guaranteed. So she likes trading queens off. This is still completely winning for her. King d1 is the move. Otherwise, he's going to lose the knight. If you block, I mean... Oh, he blocked. Wait, but now she can take the rook. She can play f5. Come on, Phoebe. f5. What's her clock looking like? She's got over a minute still. Trading queens in general is just not the move because the king is just so dead. The king is just such a horrible piece. So she's letting off a lot of her attack. But this guy messes up again. Bishop to e4. And come on. I mean, she's got to... She really has just f5, really. The computer's even saying just take on g6 first. She can for sure do this. How is he 1600? That's a great question. She was beating the 1800 she played last week, too. But unfortunately, she blundered in the end. So Phoebe, I think, is definitely underrated. She's going for the rook, perhaps. Rook to h3, super strong move still. Threatening this, right? Now, okay, white can take on h7, annoyingly. Yeah, there's no en passant with the pawn on g6. So f5 was definitely a good move. Here, white should just take. Because why not? But... okay. She is threatening devastating checks. I mean, okay, come on. It's going to simplify. It's going to simplify. She's going to have a completely winning endgame. But that's the key difference of trading queens or not, is that you trade queens, you have to win the endgame. You keep the queens on the board, you're going to have a checkmate, right? Like, that's going to be a knockout. So Phoebe obviously is scared of queens because a move like g6, if your opponent has a queen, you run the risk of getting checkmated yourself. She had some back rank issues as well, perhaps. But okay. This is still entirely winning for her. f5 would have been really, really clean knockout. We do see the capture on h7. So king h8, only move for Phoebe. She has to just knock this move out. Not much to think about. There you go. She's still over a minute to win it. This guy now has all the same threats to deal with. This and this. Both there. F4. F4 is really annoying. Not played. King gets out of the pen. Bishop covers this now. Now we can take on E4, Phoebe. You can take still. You can take this. You can take this. I mean, come on, Phoebe. Take the bishop. Knight takes. Scoop up the other rook. Easy as it gets. You're up a rook. She's reaching. She's done it. She's taken. She cannot mess this up. It's impossible. I'm putting down the commentator's curse. I'm risking it because of how confident I am in Phoebe to convert this. This is game over. I mean, knight takes. If you're not taking the knight, or with the knight, I mean, Phoebe's scooping everything up, right? She's just up a rook. She's just up a rook. There's nothing this guy has anymore. And this piece has not moved the entirety of the game. They agree. There it is. The handshake. He resigns. A sigh of relief. A big grin for Phoebe here. They're analyzing. I mean, what a fantastic game from Phoebe, start to finish. She put herself into the time scramble, but she dug herself out with a fantastic finish. A brilliant game. Definitely a potential hiccup along the way, but it was so winning. Phoebe didn't need to play the best moves. She simplified, and here she's signing off on the victory. So getting the job done. Her first win of hopefully many in this tournament. Her next game, round 3, will be next week. Same time on Wednesday, I believe. And yeah. Wow, what an exciting game. What a strong attack from Phoebe. Claps in the chat. Camaro, thank you for the follow, or for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you everyone for tuning in and watching and supporting. We'll see if we get an interview with Phoebe. But before we do that, let's take a quick look back over the game, start to finish. So this game started off with White playing E3, a passive opening. Phoebe playing her French defense, tried and true. And we see White's going for the hippo. And we see Phoebe taking space in the center. We see Phoebe pushing D4. White closing the center. And we see Phoebe essentially taking the space in the center and dictating the pace, right? Every time White having to deal with one of Phoebe's threats, they make a concession. So right here is a big moment where White simplifies and helps Phoebe out. We see a strong threat on the bishop, a knight retreating move. So Phoebe pushing forward, rerouting the knight, hitting the queen. This is maybe a moment where the queen took a couple detours unnecessarily, but now Phoebe strikes C4, and this is where the moment really shined for her. Bishop A6, and the huge mistake, king to E2, allowing knight F4, fork, and Phoebe bringing in all of her pieces, closing it out beautifully. Rook C2, takes. This is where she had the peak of her time pressure, not taking the rook right away, instead winning an exchange. E5, another critical mistake, allowing for the E pawn to be picked off, trading queens, and ultimately winning another piece. What a brilliant finish here for Phoebe, and we're going to try to get her on and see if we can ask her some questions, you guys. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Phoebe. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes.
You crushed that guy, Phoebe. That was amazing.
I'm so happy. I was super nervous because I had like 1 minute, and I was like, "Oh, chip, you you have to find it now, you have to find it now." And I was like, "Oh no!"
That was such a dramatic finish. You got down so low on the clock, and this guy barely spent any time, and you absolutely just demolished him off the board. That was such a beautiful attack. Everything just worked. I mean, tell us how you feel right now.
I feel really happy. Um, I've never seen this opening before. I was like, "What's happening right now?" Um, but yeah, I was a bit nervous. I was like, I don't know what to do. And yeah, I was like, but I'm just really happy. I'm really happy that it all worked out because I thought I was maybe a bit better because I had more space and my pieces were really active and his bishops were not really active because they were kind of stuck behind pawns. Um, but yeah, I didn't really know how to go about things.
Yeah, so obviously, I'd say the time pressure was one of the biggest factors of the game. Was there any
Yeah.
point, even though you knew that maybe you favored your position, you had more space and his pieces weren't as developed? Did you feel like there was any moment where maybe you started to slip, or did you feel like your position was pretty good confidently
Mm,
like throughout?
I got a bit scared when he started putting the H and the G pawn.
Hmm.
Um, I got a bit scared because I thought maybe he's gonna attack now, but I think there was I thought I could just reroute my pieces and I would be fine. But I was a bit scared. That's why I took so much time on the time because I was like, is something happening right now or not? And,
Hmm.
yeah, when he started pushing the pawns, I got a bit nervous.
Yeah, obviously him trying to get some counterplay on your king side is maybe a little scary, but you were just too dominant after you break through with c4. Tell us what you were thinking when he brought his king up to e2. Do you remember that position?
Yeah. I um I was like, this cannot be the best move. And because I was seeing things like if I could take like there was kind of how can I explain? On I could take the pawn with check,
Yeah.
and um, I was trying to make it work that if I would take with the bishop, he would have to take with the queen, and then I had a nice fork. But there was nothing really that there was. I felt like there was something for me, which I maybe had didn't found. So yeah, was there something for me?
That's actually we had an international master tune in and mentioned
Oh,
this, but king takes
oh.
there wasn't anything there, so you played the best line instead, knight f4 check first. So that was a really good find.
Oh, nice. Because I was really thinking very long. I was like, there has to be something here. But I couldn't find it. I was like, there has to be something, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, so that kind of gives us a good insight of why perhaps certain moves take such a long time because you're thinking of all these different sacrifices and lines, but you settled on the most solid, most concrete knight f4 check. You're just simply winning the
Hmm.
d pawn. And there was
Yeah.
another moment later on in the game where um, he kind of opens up the e file and you take on
Hmm.
f4 and he plays knight d2 instead of taking back on f4 with the queen. I don't know if you remember, you played then rook c3 attacking his queen, but your
Yes.
f
Yeah.
pawn could have taken his rook on g3, and we were wondering if you saw that or if you just were in time pressure.
Missed it.
So
Now
you
that you say, I missed it.
you so you had a knight on f4 and his bishop took it, right?
Yeah.
And then you take back, e takes f4.
Which comes with check, no?
No, e takes f4 doesn't come with a check. It does open up your rook on the e file, but he still has a e pawn.
Oh yeah.
So e takes f4, your
Oh.
f4 pawn's attacking his rook. So we were thinking he would take back on f4 with the queen immediately, but he plays knight d2 instead. So you played rook c3, queen takes f4. Then you had knight d3 fork, but he can sack his rook for the exchange,
Yeah.
right? So you win the exchange, but you could have just taken the rook on g3 immediately with your f pawn, because he didn't take your f pawn yet with his queen. I have the
I
position on
totally
it,
missed.
but
I totally missed it.
that's okay. You were still crushing,
I
but we were
missed it.
starting to get nervous because obviously this is a big time scramble position.
Yeah, I totally missed it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just stressing all the time. I was
Yeah.
really really stressed. I missed it. That's oh.
My last question for you, Phoebe. When you played Queen C7 finally, and your attacking was e pawn, did you consider rook takes first instead of queen trade?
Um, yes, but I wanted to keep it simple, and I thought with the queen of the board, there's gonna be less things for me to think about. And it will be easier for me on low time to with less pieces that are more restricted. Um, Instead of a trade of the queens, it's gonna be easier to convert for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. We were kind of expecting you to trade queens because that's kind of your MO.
Yeah, that's also why I did it. I was like, I knew you guys expect me to take with a queen, and then we trade queens, so kind of don't have a choice, do I?
Yeah. Well, that was a very, very beautiful game, Phoebe. Really glad that
Thank
we
you.
were able to experience that with you. So congratulations. Happy
Thank
Valentine's Day.
you.
Do you have any plans for tonight?
No, I'm gonna sleep. I'm
Well,
tired.
that makes sense. Definitely rest up, and we're all looking forward to your next stream.
Yes, thank you so much for commentating. I really appreciate it. And yes, I look forward to the next rounds. Hopefully, it will be another win.
Well, good luck, and thanks again. Fantastic game.
Thank you so much again.
Bye. All right, everyone. That was the one and only Phoebe Witte with a fantastic finish for her round two game at the Hague Open. What an awesome experience. So, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. I guess we're going to send you all off on a raid somewhere. So, stick around for that. If not, hopefully, we'll see you all on her next stream. So, I'm sure she'll stream before her next round, but her next round is Wednesday. And I'll be commentating again in the future. I'm not sure if I'm doing next week or if she'll have a different commentator, but I'll be back. So thanks for letting me do this, and I'll see you all later. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Happy Valentine's Day. Take care of yourselves. All right. Bye. Stick around for the raid. I gotta buy some time. Wait, I don't have like an end scene for this. Hold on. Who should I raid? Who should Phoebe raid? I don't know if Phoebe's deciding. I would raid Phoebe, but she's done, so I'll raid someone. You guys will figure it out. All right. As far as Phoebe's stream goes, I don't know. Should I just end it for Phoebe? Probably. All right. Anyways, yeah, Alan, you should raid someone if you can. All right. Good luck, guys. Bye. Bye.